If you love stories of overcoming, revenge, and twists and turns that life brings, then this channel is for you. Here, each story will keep you hooked from beginning to end. So subscribe now, activate the bell, leave your like and come with me, because today's story is simply unmissable. It was impossible not to notice Laura. Wherever she went, her presence filled the room. She had a sweet smile, gentle eyes, and a rare generosity. She always believed in love, partnership, and loyalty, perhaps even naively. For years, she built her life alongside Gabriel, the man she believed was the love of her life. From a young age, Laura gave up her own dreams and desires to help him grow, to build a future together, to achieve everything they had once dreamed of. And to her eyes, everything seemed perfect, at least until now. What Laura didn't know was that not everything is as it seems. While she believed she was living a fairy tale, Gabriel was living a different reality. Gradually, he began to change, becoming distant, cold, absent. Messages grew shorter, meetings became rare, and the affection almost disappeared. Deep down, Laura felt something was wrong, but she kept convincing herself it was just a phase. After all, they had built an entire life together. It couldn't be anything else. But the truth is that sometimes the heart feels what the mind refuses to accept. And on an ordinary afternoon, while Laura was preparing dinner, Gabriel's phone wouldn't stop, buzzing. One notification, then another, and another. Curiosity mixed with the insecurity that had been eating her alive finally took over. When she looked at the screen, her entire world came crashing down. Messages, photos, declarations, conversations that left no doubt. Gabriel had someone else, and it wasn't recent. It was a relationship with history, with intimacy, with the kind of complicity that Laura thought belonged only to the two of them. The shock was paralyzing. Her legs trembled. Her hands went cold and sweaty. Her chest felt like it was about to explode. She wanted to believe it wasn't real, that it was a misunderstanding, but the words were there, carved into that screen, stabbing her soul like sharp knives. The betrayal wasn't just physical. It was emotional, psychological, and spiritual. Everything she believed in, everything she built, everything she protected, was falling apart right before her eyes. When Gabriel arrived home, Laura's silence said it all. She didn't need to scream. She didn't need to ask. She simply handed him the phone, the evidence laid bare, and he, without even trying to deny it, crossed his arms, took a deep breath, and coldly, without the slightest trace of remorse, said, "I think we can't keep doing this. I don't love you anymore." Cold, cruel, as if the years they shared meant absolutely nothing. In that moment, Laura felt the ground disappear beneath her feet. Everything she was, everything she believed in, shattered into pieces. How could someone look you in the eyes and still choose to destroy you? How could someone who once promised to be there in sickness and in health, in joy and in sorrow, just turn their back as if you were disposable? The following days were a living nightmare. Laura could barely get out of bed. She lost her appetite. Her nights were sleepless, drowned in silent tears, endless questions, and excruciating pain. Everywhere she looked felt empty and meaningless. The pictures on the wall, the objects, around the house, the memories, everything had turned into invisible blades, cutting deeper into her heart. Friends tried to help. Her family offered support, but the wound was far too deep. It felt like she had been ripped away from herself. And as if the heartbreak wasn't enough, life delivered one more brutal blow. While trying to reorganize her life, Laura discovered that Gabriel hadn't only betrayed her in love, but also financially. For years, she had blindly trusted him, signing documents, sharing responsibilities, believing they were building something together. But in secret, Gabriel had been funneling money, making debts, signing shady contracts. And now, in addition to a broken heart, Laura found herself drowning in debts she didn't even know existed. The shock was devastating. She, who could barely breathe from the emotional pain, now watched her financial life collapse too. Letters from collection agencies, bank threats, notices of repossession. Everything she had, worked so hard to build, was on the verge of being taken away. The feeling of helplessness, of humiliation, was suffocating. It felt as if the universe had decided to completely crush her. And it was from that rock bottom, where there seemed to be no light left, that Laura had her breaking point. Between tears, despair, and exhaustion, she looked at herself in the mirror. And for the first time in a long time, she saw herself. Not the broken woman, not the one who had been betrayed, but the woman who, despite everything, was still standing. Weak, yes. Hurt, absolutely. But alive. And as long as she was alive, there was still a chance. That was when she made the hardest decision of her life, to rebuild herself. Not for Gabriel, not to prove anything to anyone, but for herself. For the woman she had abandoned over the years while prioritizing the dreams, desires, and needs of a man who never deserved even a fraction of what she had given him. The first steps were agonizing. She had to face her finances, understand the size of the disaster, seek legal and financial help. Each meeting felt like a stab to her pride, but also like laying another brick in her foundation of rebirth. At the same time, Laura enrolled in courses, sought therapy, and started taking care of herself again. Little by little, she remembered the strong, intelligent, capable woman who had always been there, just dormant. Social media, once a stage for showcasing a love she thought was perfect, became her window to resilience. She shared her routine, her lessons, her small victories, and without realizing it, she started inspiring other women. Messages began pouring in, women who had also been betrayed, deceived, and broken. And in that space, Laura found a new mission, to help others rebuild from the ashes. Time, which once felt like an enemy, became an ally. Months went by, and the woman who once couldn't even get out of bed was now the owner of her life, her dreams, her future. Financially, she renegotiated her debts, started her own business, and saw her name, once tarnished, shine again. Emotionally, she healed. She learned to love herself, to prioritize herself, and to understand that self-love is never selfish. It's survival. And as life loves irony, it was exactly at the peak of her transformation that Gabriel reappeared, regretful, lost, alone. The woman he had traded Laura for? She was only interested in his money, his status, the comfortable life he had promised. And when everything fell apart, she simply left him, and now there he was, standing at the door he once chose to abandon. When Laura opened that door and saw him, something inside her felt reaffirmed. There was no more pain, no more anger, only the absolute certainty that she was no longer the woman she used to be. Gabriel tried to speak, to explain, to apologize, to beg for a second chance. But Laura, with the serenity of someone who had rebuilt herself from the deepest abyss, simply smiled and said, "You taught me, in the worst possible way, that I don't need anyone who doesn't know how to value me. Today, I'm the one who chooses, and I choose myself." She closed the door. Not just the physical door, but every door that had once allowed the wrong people to enter and destroy her world. Laura was no longer the broken woman. She was now the owner of her life, strong, independent, free. And looking back, she realized that even though it hurt more than she ever imagined, that heartbreak was the push she needed to finally become the woman she had always deserved to be. And if you also believe that no one needs to accept crumbs of love, that all pain can be transformed into strength, and that life always gives a new chance to those who do not give up, then subscribe to the channel. Here you will find stories that inspire, move, and show that a comeback is possible. Activate the bell so you don't miss any videos and comment below. I choose to love myself, because those who choose themselves never accept being plan B in anyone's life again.